Hello, young voters!
Welcome back to another video. Today I'm joined by Neve and Hamna, two leaders of Downtown East Now movement, National Organization for Women. We have a chapter at East, and I'm going to be doing an interview talking to them about the chapter, how they started it, what they do there, as well as asking them some questions on feminism and now later on. So hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for agreeing to do this interview with me. So first question for everybody wondering, I know I said National Organization for Women, but what is NOW really?
So first of all, thanks for having us on.
Mm-hmm.
So the National Organization for Women is a grassroots organization started in the 1960s-ish, and it really focuses on not just women's rights, but intersectional feminism. So what intersectional feminism means is a Black woman of color or a trans woman of color. So it's like taking those different minority groups and kind of putting them together, and it advocates for all intersections, as they call them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Need anything to add?
I think you covered it all really well. It definitely kicked up in the 70s with very prominent women feminists such as Gloria Steinem leading the movement, as well as movements kind of driving people to join, such as the ERA, which I'm sure you have questions about.
Yeah. So the next question is for you two. What made you want to start NOW at East? What was sort of the driving factor?
Well, for me, Hamna texted me. She was like, hey, let's start a women's club. And I was like, okay, I'm all in.
Well, yeah, okay. So for me, I had actually just learned about the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, and I didn't know that it wasn't incorporated into our Constitution as an amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's absolutely insane. Like, I thought that was crazy because, I thought the United States is very progressive when it comes to women, but they don't even have that in our Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So then I looked it up and I saw that NOW is really working towards the ERA as one of their main goals. And of course, abortion, now that it's becoming more prominent. So then once I did more research into NOW, I saw that it was mostly for college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to them and I was like, hey, can we make a high school chapter? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I've been in touch with our PA leaders since then, and we've just been doing different events and collaborating with NOW to do as much as we can as a high school.
Great. So yeah, that was going to be one of my questions later on. How you started NOW as a high school chapter versus when it's usually more college or national organization. So you, like you said, you reached out to the people in charge for PA,
Mm-hmm.
and they were very supportive. Do you think?
Yeah, they were very supportive. We're one of the few high school chapters. I had to apply to get rights to do a chapter here. And again, it's usually college, but I got in touch with our PA leaders, and I kind of really had to convince them, like, hey, like, we really, like, we have a ton of girls at our school and guys that would really want to do this, and we as like a community are very involved in politics, so it took a little convincing, but I finally got them to be like, yeah, okay, you can, and here are our resources. So they've given us all their resources as if we were a college campus.
Mm-hmm. And do you think more kids should be starting NOW clubs in high school? Why do you think they put such emphasis on college?
Yeah, so I think they put more emphasis on college just because, older kids, they can vote. High school kids, most of them can't vote. So I really think it's important to start in high school just because, earlier you start teaching people about these values, the more that they'll be integrated into people's lives. So I think it's very important to start early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, we always associate college people with being more politically involved, but I think especially nowadays with social media, young people are becoming more involved than ever in politics. They're starting to care because they're seeing how it's affecting the world around them. And, I think that's why it's important that we start to include younger people more and more, even if they can't vote yet. It's a great opportunity, like Hamna said, to educate and to advocate for these issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of a great summary of TYV's mission as a whole. So yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. Take a page out of the cigarette companies, start them young. It's a joke, guys.
It's just a joke.
but no, it is really important to start people young in politics, and that's great to hear that. I'm assuming in history class, American history, that's where, yeah. So you found out about the Equal Rights Amendment, and that sort of got you started. So that's fantastic, which is why conservatives are trying to ban history classes. So it's great fodder for their argument. All right, so next question is, what has been going on at NOW recently? What's going on with the club for people who are, sort of interested in joining but not sure what we really do?
Yeah, so we started off the year, this is our first year doing it. So we started off with the ERA. It was called the Week of Action, where each chapter is kind of required to do some sort of movement. And we collectively decided to do letters to our senators. And so I just created a template, and I really encouraged people in our club to write about how the ERA would affect them or like their community and what it means to them, to really personalize their letters. So we've gotten like over 50 letters out to our PA senators about it, and we've gotten actually a lot of responses from them as well. And that's what we're doing. That was our first action. Now we're doing something more on the local level. We're doing a bake sale to help women in transition. It's a women's shelter in Philadelphia. And it just helps women get back on their feet after, they've been in an abusive relationship or they just need a little bit of help.
I mean, yeah, the bake sale is what we're working on right now. It's a great opportunity to help women on a local scale.
Yeah, and I actually did want to, you can totally cut this out if you want, but I had thought about doing the bake sale as a feminist bake sale, which meant that women would pay 75 cents for every dollar that a guy would pay if they're buying stuff from our bake sale. Unfortunately, that did not get approved by the school. But I thought that would have been a really good way to just bring awareness to the gender wage gap. And I was hoping to do that, but unfortunately, that just can't happen right now.
As well as the pink tax.
With the pink, yes, the pink tax as well.
Well, great. All right. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys are busy. And by the way, I should mention I am a member, so it's been fun. So how do you think NOW supports women and makes life better for them as an organization?
Well, I think it definitely helps to push for politicians to make more actions. We're trying to push for the ERA, which would help a lot of women. And
sorry, why don't you guys tell them what the ERA is and what it would do if it was passed? Because we talked a lot about that.
Yeah, so the ERA is the Equal Rights Amendment. It did not get ratified. Not enough states approved it decades ago. But people are still trying to push for it. It would guarantee absolute equality for women in the workplace, in pay, in women's products, also in healthcare. So that affects things like abortions and birth control.
Yeah, and a lot of states have been pushing for it, but we just don't have enough states on board with it for it to be amended in the Constitution. So that's what we're pushing for, yeah.
And I believe it was pretty close, but there's like four states or something like that last time.
Yeah, 4 states.
Somewhere around that number. So almost there, but like you said, it failed to be ratified, so it would have to be brought up again, and 2/3 of states would have to vote on it. But okay, so sorry, going back to the question.
Right. So as we were describing what it was, there's a lot of ways that it would positively impact women, but even not on like a national scale, Constitution scale. Things like our bake sale, like little things that can put support towards local shelters and help individual women in little ways.
What I when I was looking into NOW, I kind of saw that it really made a community for women. Not just that it was helping women, it made a community for them to share their concerns. So that's why I was drawn to it. And also, of course, they're doing great advocacy stuff, as Neve said. Yeah.
Great. So one question that I want to make sure that you guys have a chance to answer, is NOW a women's only club?
No, not at all.
No.
I'm in it, like I said.
Yeah, not at all. We have been pushing for more genders to participate. All of our posters have said all genders are welcome. Of course, it is catered towards women because it is the National Organization for Women, but I feel that men and all genders should get involved with this because it's not just a women issue, it's a human issue. Because what affects us women affects all of humanity. So I'm totally for everyone, all genders joining our club.
Yeah.
And I mean, feminism is for gender equality, for both
for
genders.
both, exactly.
So, you know,
what affects women affects men.
exactly.
Mhm.
Just so everybody knows, if they're interested in joining, what times do you normally meet? What days and where?
Yeah, so we meet once every 2 weeks, so every other Wednesday, and we meet after school in Miss Tordone's room, which is room 108.
Okay. And how long are meetings generally?
They're usually about 20 to 30 minutes, and it depends on whether we're like watching a movie or doing like an activity. But it's just like the meeting we just had now was just to go over our big, so it was only like 10-15 minutes.
Cool. So you two are both officers in the club. So how many officers total do you have?
There's 2, and then there's Sam, Olivia, Lauren. Yeah, okay. 5 of us.
So five total. And are you guys still recruiting for officers or not really?
No, we are done with our officers right now, yes. We are looking for, since we're all seniors, we're looking for dedicated members that have shown that they've been dedicated to the club this year to carry it on for next year.
So if you're a junior and you're interested in joining, potential leadership option for you for next year, yeah. Which I would recommend getting involved with. So next question is now moving towards just your thoughts on NOW. What is your overall opinion of NOW as an organization?
I think that NOW has created a really good opportunity, like a community for women, which is something that I value a lot, since women are usually like pitted against each other a lot of the time. So just the community, I really think that NOW has grown so much since like the 70s. I've done research. It used to be so small, and just seeing how much that NOW's done like gives me faith in the organization itself, that it's not just for show. They are actually, you know, making things happen, marches, you know, contact with politicians. So I really think that we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, the organization has such like aim the long, scheme short, but still like rich history in the United States. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like you were saying, all the way from like 60s to 70s, and they've been consistent with their message and their mission mm-hmm. for all these years, and they're still doing what they set out to do, which is create a place where women can advocate for just their rights, mm-hmm. their life, their sisterhood, and intersectionality.
Exactly. They've advocated for intersectional feminism from the beginning.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And that's a really big part of it, and why I'm so interested in it, because I'm a big believer in intersectionality in general for politics, is viewing that through a lens, because it's very difficult to view, you know, because when you're talking about politics, you're oftentimes talking about interest groups, and you can't just say interest group of women, because not all women have the same experiences, and you can't just say all Black people, because not all Black people have the same experiences.
So it overlaps.
Yeah, and that's like one of the main criticisms of like the 1960s feminism, is that it was too limited in scope, and it's mostly for white women who stayed at home, and that was mostly what it was centered around, and a lot of other women got left behind in the dust. So I really like the intersectionality aspect to it, and I think that should be how feminism moves forward. That's my personal opinion, so that's what I really like about it. What is one thing you would change about NOW?
I feel they could do more to get more genders involved. Mm-hmm. Again, it is catered towards women, so naturally more women would be attracted to it. On their Instagram, They pretty much have all women representatives. I would like to see some male representation, just so we can get a little bit more of the male attention from males in the community, just so they know, like, hey, this is an issue that affects you and us. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I would say.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. And I guess, you know, what we were saying earlier, maybe expanding more to younger people, high schools, opening more high school chapters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since it's really catered to colleges right now, opening it to high schools. Really take that leadership. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a great answer. Next question. This is the question I warned you about. But I would imagine this is gonna feed in from the last one. What is your main critique of feminism right now?
I think personally, there's a big rift in feminists in right now, like society, with, you know, people like J.K. Rowling kind of leading this one part of it, and then other people, you know, going the other way. It kind of goes back to the whole idea of women being pitted against each other, where we have women who claim to be feminists kind of putting down transgender women and excluding them from their feminism, and, you know, lacking that sort of intersectionality. I think that intersectionality is so important, but the reason why it needs to be emphasized so much is because as a nation, we seem to be lacking it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of feminists have conditional support for other women.
Conditional support, that's good.
Conditional support. And I think if we can foster an environment where women can have an unconditional support for other women, where, you know, if your friend dresses with less clothes, it's empowering, but if someone you don't like dresses with less clothes, it's immodest. I think we need to be more consistent with, you know, am I judging her based on my own internalized misogyny? Is she not fitting what I was raised as the ideal of what a woman is? And is this something that I need to figure out within myself, which is something I think that every single woman struggles with.
Yeah, I really agree with Neve. Like I've seen like so much of feminism being like, oh, women are all like, women can do whatever they want, which of course they can, but that kind of perpetuates the idea that this has to be like, you have to dress immodestly and you have to do this and that, and you know, I feel like there's a very narrow realm for feminism and westernized feminism. But again, like I grew up in the Muslim community, and for a lot of those women, like feminism is dressing modestly. Feminism is like following their religion, and that could go for any religion, any way you want to dress, any beliefs that you have. So I feel like feminism has been very narrowed, but you know, feminism and female empowerment can be anything. It's not just what the westernized idea is. Also, I feel like the word feminism means equality for all genders, but of course, female. So that's, I feel like men are a little scared by the word feminism just because it has fem in the name. So again, it's for all genders, not just women, which I think we should try to cater more towards, to get more men and other genders involved.
And also to like even expand even further on that, the whole point, like one of the major points of feminism is to not tell women what to do or how to be. I think that we've created such a negative connotation for like the more feminine woman, the more gentle woman, the housewife, that we almost shame certain women for choosing lifestyles like that for themselves. Like me personally, like one day I really want to be a mother, like I want to be a family woman, and not everyone wants that. And I am all for people to not want to be that, but also I think it's also empowering to want to do that as well. And that doesn't make you a bad feminist to go with what is considered stereotypical gender norms. I think we should be able to choose and mix and mash whatever gender norms we do and do not conform to. And that should be accepted as, you know, being part of the experience. I also think that we have a lot of pressure on women now to do everything at once, because we still expect women to be like mothers, while at the same time saying that if you're an empowered woman, you have to be like a girl boss. Girl boss. So now, you know,
and you can't be a mother at the same time. You know, that's
there's a lot of pressure. It's like you have to be a mother, you have to be this and that, you have to be a wife, but you also have to be working, you have to be a boss, you have to be making this much money, and you have to be empowered. And it's at the point where, are we empowering our women, or are we forcing them to do things that fit our expectations,
our idea of feminism? That's a very long-winded answer, but
no, that's got like so many things that I love to delve into. Just we don't have the time, but if you guys are interested in having us talk a little bit more about everything that they just said, because I definitely have responses and things I want to elaborate in there. If you guys are interested, please comment down below, and we will get that set up. So a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap up here. If you could pass one law, what would it be?
Ooh. I guess the ERA is not really a law, it's an amendment, but I would say the ERA. just because it encompasses all of gender equality and not just one aspect.
I think a law that would cover the government not being able to govern women's health care. My mother, she, with her first pregnancy, was in labor with my older sister for 60 hours.
Yeah.
She had to get an epidural and a C-section. And she obviously would not want to have to go through that again with her next 2 children. But nowadays, it's hard for women, even after they've gotten a C-section, to continue to get more C-sections or get epidurals or treatments like that. Because it's like you almost have to fight for what should, I think, be basic medical health care. Like, I don't think you should have to need a C-section in order to receive that treatment.
Right.
Especially if it's life-threatening. But it shouldn't.
So is that insurance or is that government regulation? So I wasn't aware. You know?
Gosh.
You know, I think it's I think it's state level, because I've definitely heard of that. I think it's state level. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, you can apply that to abortion as well,
Yeah.
which is something
Abortion,
that now
contraceptives.
Contraceptives.
I think that, you know, they shouldn't be able to make laws that inhibit women's access to healthcare, reproductive healthcare.
Okay, this one's kind of a fun question. Is which political party do you think will have the first woman president?
Ooh.
And why? Of course.
I would say Democratic or Libertarian, but I would probably
So then
say,
the Libertarian Party has to win.
Yeah,
I don't know
which
if that's
is
gonna happen.
I know what you mean, but like I'm saying that because I've just seen strong Libertarian female candidates. I digress. I would say Democratic, just because a lot of more women who are involved in politics tend to be Democrat, and I've seen a lot of very strong Democratic women, AOC, Kamala Harris, of course. So.
See, my immediate instinct is to say Democrat, but then I look at the Democratic candidates and the prominent female politicians in the Democratic Party are so polarizing that there are a lot of Democrats that won't even vote for them. I feel like when we look at the typical female, when we look at, you know, a lot of the possible candidates that are women from the Republican Party, I feel like they're not as polarizing, and Democrats might even vote for them because they want to see a woman in office. So I think there'll be more Democratic women candidates, but I think it would be harder to get them into office.
I think that's a better answer than mine.
Yeah, I think you know, I think Neve's analysis is correct. Just because I have, you know, learned to have absolutely no expectations for politics ever at this point. I would say Republican personally, because I can just picture that they're gonna pick a woman candidate and they're gonna, you know, take some losses just because of the nature of the Republican base, but they might pick some back up from Democrats voting for a woman president, and they also might get independents in there. But I think just in like a sick, twisted way, they're gonna have a woman run for president who's anti-abortion.
Yeah, that's my only problem.
She's gonna be like, she's gonna be a woman, but then she's gonna, you know, pass all these terrible sexist policies, and it's just gonna be like, I can't be sexist, I'm a woman, and that's what the Republicans
that's
are gonna
what,
go with.
exactly.
Yeah, the Candace Owens strategy.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like,
Jenner.
Democrats, like, they might vote for a Republican woman just because she's a woman, but what about those core values like abortion, LGBTQ, you know, like those are very prominent.
No, I feel like it's gonna be in a sick, twisted way. It's gonna be Republican.
No, I see.
And
what
then
you're
the
saying.
woman's gonna be like, you know, absolutely terrible for women's
Blair
rights.
White.
And, yeah. So I think that's what it'd be, and then they can play the game where it's like, I can't be sexist, I'm a woman, which is definitely not true. You can be, you know, sexist or racist even if you're of that race or of that sex, etc. So I think that's what it would be personally. I have fingers crossed it won't be, and also because Democrats are they're either purposely bad, which is really bad, or they're just complete idiots, which is also really bad. So I don't know which one to choose.
I feel like both sides are just not thriving.
No, it's not doing well. Republicans are like not winning because nobody likes them, except they're like making so many gains because, you know, they're willing to play in a way that Democrats aren't, and they're actually competent.
Democrats are very incompetent.
Sometimes, and then
Democrats let their emotions get in the way.
Democrats have like the most popular agenda of all American history, and they like routinely lose elections.
Horrible tact.
Yeah.
Horrible tact.
Like they my favorite phrase for them is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like the Democratic Party is.
No,
Has been recently, and hopefully will not continue to be. But you know, I've come to think, if you just expect the worst thing to happen, you'll either be met halfway there, or your expectations will be blown away when something worse happens. So that's my sort of stance on it. And thank you. So that's my last question. So we're gonna wrap up. But thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Hopefully it was a good conversation. And if you guys are interested in hearing more, please let us know in the comments or on our Instagram or whatever, and we will set up another interview. And let us know, this was our first sort of in-person interview, not on Zoom type thing we did. So let us know what your thoughts were. Hopefully the audio quality was okay. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. We have, you can subscribe and like the video, and you can comment, and we have an Instagram, we have a Discord, we don't have a Twitter. No, we do have a Twitter, we just don't use it. We have a link tree with all our stuff on it. We have podcasts on Spotify, obviously our website, go check that out. And I think that's it. And follow our Instagram. So that's all the stuff I have to shout out.
DEast Now.
Yeah,
DEast Now is our Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you guys want to shout out your Instagram, so DEast Now on Instagram. Is there any capitals in there? I guess it doesn't matter.
That's it. DEast Now. Yep.
Anything else you want to shout out? When's our next meeting? Something like that?
Wednesday after break is our next meeting.
Got it. All right.
Bake sale next week.
Bake sale next week.
And that's the 20th?
20th to the 23rd. Okay. All lunch periods.
Yep. So make sure to buy. We're gonna have cupcakes and
cookies and just
baked goods.
A lot of baked goods.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys, everybody. Thank you so much.